Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to all the superstars in the talent tribe across the globe. My name is Frank Salas. I go by the name of the talented Mr. Salas. I serve those with talent by transforming them into thought leaders, and part of my job is to bring in other thought leaders. And my buddy John here, I actually met him through a Twitter search when I was looking up growth hacking, just different types of value, because I'm constantly a student of the game, especially in my industry, in our industry, with John, growth hacking. And our job basically is just to grow your business. Whatever you do, whatever product you have, whatever marketplace you're trying to create, our job is just to grow that. And John has some amazing strategies that I was, at first kind of reluctant to get into because, when you hear certain things, you're just like, hey, I don't know, I might get some hacked. I might get my, I don't know. I didn't know what was going to go down, but he's like shown me the light, and I've been open and very receptive. So my goal is just to open your mindset, maybe see if you could include this as part of your marketing strategy. I will say that I have incorporated it into mine, and it's definitely helped out my business in so many ways. And it allows me to allocate my resources, like my staff, my virtual team, to do more tasks. So because they're constantly doing repetitive stuff. So I realized the power of, scaling your operations and just making that frictionless, erasing those pain points completely, just destroying bottlenecks completely. And without John's help, my business was probably maybe like 40 or 45% less efficient. That's the kind of increase that I saw. I saw 40 to 45% more increase in my productivity and my virtual assistants, just with tasks done. Every day they send me a daily report. So make sure you guys get your notes ready. Make sure you guys listen, because I'm going to be taking notes as well, and I'm very excited for this interview. So without further ado, this is my buddy John. John, tell everybody a little bit about you, kind of where you come from, and introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? My name is John. I'm a marketer who likes suits, sushi, and saving the world. Well, I guess my journey started in the public eye a little over a year ago or so. I was on this show called Startup You on ABC Family, and that was fun. Didn't turn out to be so good for my startup as I thought it might be, but it was fun. And from there, I tried to launch my own startup. Totally failed, obliterated, horrible. I was a terrible founder. Then from there, I was hired into this really interesting real estate startup called offers.com. Basically, they have software that predicts when people want to sell their home, and they have a system that automatically markets them. And so you basically can get leads for selling homes before they even know they want to sell. Pretty mind-blowing. So I worked on paid customer acquisition for them, which was really interesting, which is something I will talk about today. Basically, you figure out how much it costs to get a customer and how much money they get you, and then you use Facebook ads, Google AdWords, and engineer it to where you make money every time. Now, I'm at Startup Grind, global community manager, and I'm growing their global community. They have chapters around the world in 200 cities that interview entrepreneurs every month and connect and inspire and educate entrepreneurs every month. And that's me in a nutshell.
That's amazing. And what I want to point out to everybody that's listening is that John is someone that's obviously very well connected. He has many options, and the fact that he's choosing to stay with the organizations that he's with right now is just going to speak volumes of himself, but also towards the companies and the people that he aligns himself with. Just because when you play the startup game, there's so many ways to slice the pie. It's so huge, but you just have to pick one method. Like you can do everything, but you can't do everything right away, and you got to pick a winning horse, a winning team. You got to find your Yankees or your 1990s Dallas Cowboys. I'm a Texan, so that's kind of my over there. So cool, man. So you go out and you meet all these people, and you're one of the early adopters. You hear about all these new strategies, and you and I will probably be at a airport. We'll be at a coffee shop, and maybe we'll do a call like this, maybe even a presentation or a webinar like this. And just naturally, somebody somewhere is going to come out to you and be like, hey, what's up? I heard you talking about Facebook ads. I have this super successful 7-figure, 8-figure, 6-figure earning business that's not even having a Facebook page. And they're like, I'm really interested, but everything you just said kind of went over my head a little bit, but I'm interested in all of the automation that you're kind of into, and all of the and I hate saying this word, but the bots, that's kind of how I would interpret it. But that's, that was a bad word for me at first because I had a bad association with that word. Can you maybe speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, for sure. So basically what Frank is talking about is there are a lot of things that can be systematized through programming. So programming, in my opinion, is the kind of the like magic tool, the Batman tool belt that marketers can have that can just put you way ahead of the pack. Because traditionally we think about marketing like Madison Avenue, like creative stuff, commercials, ads on magazines, stuff like that. But really, to be successful as a marketer in today's world, programming is really helpful. So, for example, one tool you can use with programming is, people try and write blogs all the time, right? You can build this really cool tool that basically scrapes the web. Popular our blogs will be popping up all the time. Obviously, every second I'm sure there's a blog popping up. So it basically scrapes the internet and tells you, hey, this is like the 5 most popular topics in marketing. So like, all right, in the next 1 hour, I have this hour window to write a like 100 to 300 word blog on marketing with like these keywords. So you like jam it out real quick and then you push it out, and then it's going to be hot for that hour, right? And you'll get a spike in traffic. So that's an example of what Frank is talking about. Like you can basically use programming you're interacting on Twitter all the time, on Instagram, on like all these things. Programming can do that for you. It's pretty crazy. One thing I will say, which I'm sure Frank would agree with, is this is really like a long haul game. If you're building a personal brand, like you really need to like connect with people one-on-one, like absolutely bar none. Like you have to do that in order to be successful at building a personal brand. I'm just like curious about these things. Honestly, like I don't even do it for the followers and whatnot. I'm just doing it because I want to see it work. Like I'm just a nerd and I just like making it work. So hopefully that has illuminated what the bots or like programming and marketing is.
That I couldn't explain it better, man. That was just a very easy to understand description and delivery of that. Great job on that. And this is what I love about John's content. It's just so easy to consume. He takes all this super complicated stuff. Like when I first saw you, you had all of this, stuff behind you. Like, oh man, is he going to do a class? And I don't know if my tribe is ready for this like programming stuff just yet.
This is my company. I don't even know what's going on back here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, but this is what I like about John is he just has a very easy to understand message. And when you are looking for influence in certain areas to grow your business, because influencers always surround themselves with other influencers and people always have expertise to add to your game. And there's no competition here. It's all about collaboration. And if we just share our secrets and help each other build our businesses, there's billions of people on the planet right now. And almost everybody has smartphones, has some type of credit card attached to that, and we can put our businesses in front of them and our information. If you're one of those expertise who has digital learning products or digital assets, that's a way for you to get your message from now on to certain people and make a living off of it as a residual base and just kind of have that to be as your main source of income. So, there's several ways to slice the pie. And John just kind of showed us a few examples, but I have a question, and this is a growth hack too that I'm doing. So I pay a virtual assistant to look up certain hashtags, and I follow Shalene Johnson's Instagram engagement formula where you like 5 of the last photos, but then I also have them comment on one of them and really go down that path. So because of that, it kind of shows up on their feed as like the talented Mr. Salas has liked the last 6 or 7, and they're more likely to look at my profile, follow me, do that kind of stuff. Then now with Instagram stories, I have people who look at that Instagram story and do the same thing for everybody that's on my Instagram stories, just to kind of like keep that engagement going. Can I make a bot for that, or is that kind of going to hack my account? I don't know.
Make a bot for like viewing everyone's Instagram stories, or or commenting and liking.
For commenting and liking on the people that view my Instagram stories.
Oh, I see. So you want to, okay. That's a great question. So basically you would need to figure out how to target them. I'm going to tentatively say yes. So here's the problem with it is a lot of this stuff, like what you just mentioned, is a unique use case, and you have to code that yourself. I'm not a great programmer by any means. I pretty much find scripts and like edit it myself. But there is a tool that I think will kind of accomplish the general goal that you're trying to achieve. I just found this, literally, I just downloaded this program yesterday, and it is blowing my mind. It's called Mass Planner. You guys can look it up, Mask Planner, spelled exactly like you would think it is. And basically what it does is it will be a bot on essentially every single social media network you can imagine, Instagram, Twitter. I've never found a script that can auto follow and unfollow and like and comment on Instagram. This one does it. It's insane. I just downloaded it. Yes, it literally doesn't even work on Mac. I had to download Windows Boot Camp to make it work, and I'm still like in awe of this thing. So that is a kind of answer to your question, Frank, and that is a tool that I am highly suggesting right now. Again, I've only been using it a day, but I'm already.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. So right now, I actually pay somebody a full-time salary to like and comment. So I could replace that person's daily task and then free them up to do more things.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. And free you up to, because I think like I was saying earlier, it's really the one-on-one relationship building that's going to like put you ahead of the pack, and the people that are like obsessed and like checking, like literally opening up Instagram just to see what Frank Salas is doing. So like then you can get on those like really long DM conversations and like build those relationships too. So yeah, man.
It's cool, dude. Real cool. Okay, so let's say somebody has interest in this. It's like, okay, I now see the value in this. Where do I start? How does someone take that first step to go down this path that you're talking about? Because when you start talking about Windows Boot Camp on Mac, people are like, what? You lost me, John. I thought this guy was easy, Frank. Hold on. What's the deal? So make it easy for us. Where do you start?
Yes. So to make it easy, so my content is really the tip of the iceberg. I try and like give you the tip of the iceberg, and you kind of have to figure out the rest of it yourself, because it is just a massive load of stuff. So if you're just starting out, here's what I would do. I would check out the website programmingformarketers.com. They have a free, I think it's either 7 or 10-day course, programmingformarketers.com. Each day, they're going to send you a blog article with 7 different topics and growth hacks, essentially, you can use with programming. And they give a literally step-by-step thing in every single blog. Each one of them is just mind-blowing with value. They were kind of my I had heard about growth hacking but never really got into it, and that Programming for Marketers was my first foray into that. And I'm actually just about to buy their like master course, which is like a couple $100, but totally worth it. So yeah, that's where I would start. And again, like if you want to get started with like building a personal brand, of course the one-on-one thing is going to be that thing that builds you long term, but this is going to get you ahead of the pack quick. So
oh, dude, that's amazing. And I love how you, just for your personal brand, you're like, I'm not the guy that's going to walk you through the whole thing. I'm just going to show you the tunnel, and here's some supplies, and maybe ask for some more help or figure it out on your own. So I like that.
Yeah.
That's what I call brand clarity right there. That's like, exactly how you bring value to the marketplace and how you'd like to, just because, and you even said it, going down that path does require a lot of time. It does require a lot of patience. And let's say we're talking to somebody now who maybe is already generating 6 or 7 figures or 8 figures a year, and they're like, I'm really interested in that, but realistically, John, I don't have the time to go through that. What are some ways that they could allocate their resources to make that happen?
Yes, so definitely find. So people commonly call them growth hackers. I kind of have my own feelings about the term. In Silicon Valley, it's a little bit overused a bit, but if you find someone who's said that, basically with being a marketer, I like to say you're guilty until proven innocent. So if you go to school, right, if you're a programmer, you go to school, you learn how to write a program, boom, you're a programmer, magic, okay, great. If you're a marketer, you go to school, you're not a marketer yet. You haven't had any success. Like you've studied everything, you've made a class project, but you haven't, put it out in the world and see how it fared, right? So with marketing, you kind of have to use that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm using myself as a testing ground. So that way in the future, when, some crazy startup looks at me years down the road, or I want to start a startup and investors looking at me and they're like, this guy's a marketer, like, how come we should trust him? It's like, oh, wait, he has 100,000 followers on Instagram and Twitter, and he's verified and like all this crap. So that's, gosh, I forgot the question. Oh, how can business owners do this? So sorry for getting off rails there for a second. If you're a business owner, you want to do this, try and find a consultant who would do this. One I would have in mind is Justin Wu. I've been following him. We've been collaborating a little bit. His handle is Hackapreneur, so you can find him by doing that. WU, yeah, WU. And he has an agency that's doing pretty well. I actually got a consulting request that I denied because I'm too busy, and I passed it off to him because I know that he's gotten 6 figures in monthly recurring revenue doing these strategies. But yeah, find someone who is a growth hacker, growth marketer, something like that, and look at their profiles. Like if they're they have like no followers and 0 engagement on their stuff online, then it's like, all right, they're guilty. They haven't been proven innocent. So that's my suggestion.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so just to be, really, really clear to all the business owners who actually have resources and they're dedicating money on stuff that's antiquated, in my opinion, like mail outs, where you're paying a few $1,000s to those little coupon things, or, those door handles, or, maybe even billboards, and then radio ads are down. Actually, they're charging more for them. They're getting less exposure. It's the same thing with TV. Just because, I travel the world, and everywhere that I go, no matter what culture, everyone's looking at this thing, your cell phone. This is the most expensive 6 inches of real estate in the entire world. And all of our job is to get our message, our service, our brand, our product, our marketplace onto that screen. And if we can just do that, we're all, people coming from a good place, and we can make the marketplace better. Because we make the marketplace better, the marketplace is going to be more prosperous, which allows more people to be, more prosperous. And that's how the game gets better. You got to play the game that way. That's why earlier I said there's no competition. It's all about collaboration. It's all about sharing your secrets with other people. And just like, John, he said earlier, I passed this off to Justin because, I didn't want to do it, and I felt he was maybe more qualified to help in that, really particular area. That's a true consultant who's like, you know what, I've networked in my industry, and the person that's going to serve you best is this person. And that's coming from a place of true abundance. And a lot of people who are maybe emerging entrepreneurs haven't had the experience of spending, 4 or 5 figures on a business expense, and hiring a consultant might be their first time doing something like that. And it's just like, hey, you have to put those monies or that resource back into your business so it can grow, so it can flourish, just like a farmer would, just like an empire would. You've got to do that. It's the only way to grow. And thankfully, you can magnify your social media presence for free right now. And the tools that John's suggesting, do these cost money, to download most of these softwares?
So here's my thing. My obsession is finding ways to grow with literally 0 resources, like literally $0.00. So in terms of, one of my most successful growth hacks is my Twitter. So with my Twitter, I use the Programming for Marketers Python script to grow to about 12,000 followers is where I'm sitting right now. So that was literally free. I just found the article. I sat down for 4 hours. I was very frustrated, but eventually I got through it. And as soon as I hit go and it started, and it was just the most glorious moment. So yes, there are a lot that are free, but there are I would say most of these growth hacks sit in the very little resources category. So for between $10 and $1,000, you can get massive exposure. And the idea is do all the free ones you can, okay, get free customers. Okay, now we have a little revenue, all right? We have a little money to play with now. Now let's put in $10 bets, $100 bets, $1,000 bets. Now we have even more revenue. Okay, and then once you get to that point, you just set up basically what's called a funnel with ads, which is a lot simpler than all these things. Basically, you have a customer acquisition cost. You pay Facebook ads $300. You get a customer that's worth $400. That's the kind of the goal here, is to just make these baby steps until you got enough revenue to just systemize all of it with something like Facebook ads.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So let's talk about Facebook ads, because a lot of people are really nervous about Facebook ads, and now like Instagram ads are coming out, and no one really advertises on Twitter, or most people don't advertise on Twitter, but the people that do, they're like, wow, this is really beneficial. So maybe kind of talk about what paid advertising is like in your experience in that world.
Yeah, for sure. So just to give you a little context, I've spent about $600,000 or $700,000 on Facebook and Google and LinkedIn and whatnot got about 1.07 million back. So in that process, I learned a lot. I lost some money. And this was my company's money, not my personal. Oh God, I wish it was my personal money, but it was my company's money. And so basically, there's two things you really got to get right. One is the audience, which I think is the most important. So that is who's going to be seeing it, right? It has to be a qualified customer that is really, really likely to want to buy your product or service, right? And then the second part would be what some people in the marketing industry call copy. So that's like the words, the picture, if it's a video, basically just like the content of the ad. So like I said a second ago, in my experience, audience, bar none, the most important thing. So in Google AdWords, it's through a thing called keywords, which is basically just search terms. So like cheeseburger, that's a word it's a Google keyword. So if you're selling cheeseburgers, market to people with those keywords. And Facebook ads, it has this crazy this crazy thing called detailed targeting. Within Facebook Ads Manager, it's called detailed targeting. It's pretty creepy, but basically you can target to the most minute possible details. One day I just went in there just for shits and giggles and just saw how deep I could go. And I found people that liked Chinese noodles with chicken and watched Family Guy at 6 p.m. on like just the most ridiculous stuff. So you can really, really narrow down. So basically those are the two components there. Yeah, those are the two main components in selling. But be aware, it's going to take you a pretty penny to figure out how much it costs you to get a customer. So I say going in, just be prepared with $5,000. Like go in with $5,000. Be prepared to potentially throw away $1,000. Only to learn, that's like your learning money, and then the $4,000 on should be either breaking even or profitability if you've got a good person on.
That is such a realistic breakdown. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, just do $5 a day or just do like this.
Hell no.
Man,
hell no.
You're not really taking your business seriously if you can't do something like that. So, let's talk about, so that was great. Mm-hmm. If someone's going to get started and going down that path, what would be the first steps that you suggest for them to going into paid advertising via social media?
First, I would go to Google AdWords, and I'll explain why. So the reason why Google AdWords is more powerful is because they're literally looking for your search. They're literally looking for it. So I want Korean barbecue in Redwood City. That's where I am right now, right? So I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to type Korean barbecue in Redwood City. Boom. Your ad can literally be the very first option displayed there. That is so powerful, right? So with Facebook, the reason why Facebook and other things aren't as powerful, when I'm on Facebook, I'm just like, I just got home. Like, I'm just like watching Family Guy, just like scrolling through, seeing my friends, getting distracted, right? I'm not in that mind state of like, I want your product. So I would go to Google AdWords. Your industry, right? So when you're picking your keywords, think about all the jargon, think about any possible combination of words you might use, and just word vomit into the keywords planner. And then the keywords planner will help you kind of like figure out what some good keywords will be. Then boom, you have your audience. Once you have your audience, Google AdWords is also simple with the ad. It's a 35-character text ads. It's basically just a link and a short description. So you don't have to do a lot of work. But the more effort you put into it, obviously, the better results you'll get. So again, think about what words would get your customers interested. So think of again, back to this Korean barbecue in Redwood City example. Say like, want the zestiest Korean barbecue in town? Go to KoreanBarbecueRedwoodCity.com, right? So that's basically in a broad scope nutshell. That's what I would suggest you do if you're like just getting started. There will be a lot of things that you'll figure out that I didn't mention in this like 2 minutes, but that should get you on the path to like figuring out, okay, how can we like actually make money using AdWords?
I love how you just let us know how deep the game goes, and a lot of people try to make it seem like it's easy, and it is easy, but it's like you just have to put the time in. That's just how easy it is. It just takes the time, and that's anything. It always costs time. And I love how you broke down how people are in that buying mode, that buying emotion on Google, which is great. So Facebook, social media, that's great for attention and getting yourself out there to be like, okay, and necessary as a part of long-term marketing to constantly get people to see, who you are, what your message is, whatever that may be. And when they're on Google, they're looking for social media growth hackers, or they're looking for growth hackers in California or Silicon Valley, or whatever they're looking for. They're looking for that particular expertise at that moment in time. And if you can just put yourself there, where do you take them? Where do you take them? Like, let's say they click on the link. What's the best practice?
So Frank is wonderfully leading me into the topic of funnels, which I'm sure he did on purpose. So a funnel is basically, I'll draw it out for you right here. I got a whiteboard, so might as well use it.
Nice.
That's a funnel. So basically, you got customers, right, coming in at the top. So we got our little customers coming in here, right? They're clicking on my website. So then they get to my website, right? So now I have them here, and I'm like, all right, how do I turn these people? They're just sitting on my website right now. How do I turn them into customers, right? So there's all kinds of ways you can do it. We'll just use an example. We'll go back to our Korean barbecue example, right? You could have a blog about how to make the best Korean barbecue sauce, right? So you write this blog, and so they land on this blog, and they're like, oh man, this is so good. Like, I'm so hungry for Korean barbecue and whatnot right now. So they get to the bottom of the page, bottom of the blog post, and it says, hey, you want a $10 discount for our rib special this weekend? Here it is right here. Opt in your email and phone number or something. So now, boom, okay, we got their email captured. So from the blog, we got them in our email funnel now. So now they're in our email list. And then with our email list, we can hit them with an email that says, hey, here's your free coupon, 10% off. If they don't respond, it's cool because on like most email marketing platforms, you can see if they read it or not. And if they didn't read it or click it or click on your discount, then you can send them another message and be like, hey, just reminding you. Or you can even go even further. Like, you know what? We'll throw in a free side of fries with that. We'll make the deal even sweeter. Just make it irresistible for them not to come. And then so at the very bottom here, all right, you gave them a discount, and then boom, you get money in the bottom. That's basically what a funnel is. So there's like a million ways you can do this, right? I use the blog example. Could be a video. Could be a game. It could be absolutely anything. The trick is think of some tests, try them out, throw them out there, and then eventually one of them is going to be like, whoa, that worked pretty well. Let's stick with this. And then kind of like make it better from there, like incrementally. So that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of like the funnel, the internet funnel model that pretty much every marketer uses.
Yeah, and that's a great breakdown of it. I definitely would have got the supersize. They would have had me, and I would have been a returning customer. And then if you guys had like a little punch card thing, there's all
that
these.
Sounds delicious, right?
Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
So the next time that I'm in your area, you and I are going to a Korean barbecue place because you probably know a really bomb spot here in the hood that I can just go and check out. That'd be awesome.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, man.
Cool.
100%.
So, all right, people are now starting to get some revenue into their business, and they're going to make a choice. They're going to have to make a choice. Okay, do I want to allocate my resources towards paid ads, or do I want to start making a shift into more staff, either permanent in the form of employees or temporary in the form of consultants? What should somebody think about when they're thinking of scaling their business model to attract more clients, serve more people, and get their market or the message out to a bigger marketplace?
Well, in terms of hiring, my philosophy is don't hire unless the pain is just like cancerous, like eating away at you. You need it so bad, because the fact is you might be able to easily outsource it very cheaply, easily use some sort of system or automation or software tool to take care of it for like $10 a month, So a lot of pains you might be able to figure out on your own very quickly, easily, cheaply. So I would be very careful because, once you onboard someone, it's like, okay, now we got to pay for their insurance, and now we have to pay all these taxes, and they're a person, like we can't, now we got to hire HR. Like, it's just a mess. It's just a mad mess. So, I would definitely go with, in the beginning, if you can like quickly outsource or use like a tool or something, then I would try and go that route. Of course, like you have to be, take it with a grain of salt. Like it depends on what the thing is. But with most things, if you can keep your team small and lean, keep those like major expenses like payroll down, then you can put more of it into like growing your business. So that's my take on that.
Spoken like a true businessman. That's amazing. I feel the exact same way. Just payroll taxes and so I outsource my work out here to the Philippines where I'm currently located on the Coconut Wi-Fi. But even here, we've got to pay taxes, we've got to pay benefits. It's a lot less expensive, but it's still there. It's still an expense. And it's just something that all business owners who have scaled up at a certain point understand that pain. So if you don't know the kind of things that we're talking about, it's because you haven't invested your resources in your business in that way just yet, which is fine. And one strategy for you may be to invest into your business and scale it that way. Or like John was saying, see what kind of bots or systems or softwares that are already out there, or even services that can do this for you, or possibly even start to slowly outsource your work with a work from home virtual assistant in some third world country where the language is very similar to yours and the internet is stable and the currency exchange is very favorable. So that's just kind of my take on outsourcing, and maybe hopefully that helps you guys scale up your business. I want to wrap up here real quick, but I want you to bring it home with this final thing. So if somebody is already out there, they're in the marketplace, they're in the game, but they're not experiencing predictable revenue or able to project their sales, and their income is so consistent, because a lot of people in the online space, they'll generate a lot of sales at first, and they'll have to fulfill that work because maybe they're not yet scaled, they're not efficient, they don't have bots or systems in their way to help serve their clients, and they keep having up and down months. It's just not consistent, and they're constantly living month to month, client to client, contract to contract. How would you suggest that person to grow their practice?
It's an interesting question. So, I mean, well, one of the things like you probably might be hearing SaaS products. What is SaaS? It's software as a service, basically a subscription model with software. It's become insanely popular over the last few years because it creates this predictable revenue you're talking about. So you get pretty much the same month over month. You have this base, and then you just keep building on it. Whereas if it's something like, you're selling pants, like, if you sell 5,000 pants one month, it doesn't matter. You got to sell 5,000 pants again next month to have the same consistent revenue. So basically, other than changing the business model, if you want to go that route and try that, definitely the most predictable way to do this is with creating a funnel with ads. It's the most systematic. It's the most guaranteed, predictable way to do it. Again, it takes some testing, it takes money. Have $5,000. Be willing to put $5,000 out there, maybe even lose all $5,000 if you're doing it yourself and just learning everything. But eventually, the problem with growth hacks, growth hacks are great because you need little resources. It's going to get you a lot of exposure, that kind of thing. But the thing is, it's limited. It's like I don't know. It's very limited, right? So you can't just if you keep growth hacking and keep hitting with these growth hacks, you're going to get like this. It's like spastic growth. And eventually you want to hit the point where you're like going up like this, right? So get someone who knows what they're doing with ads. If you have the money, if you have the revenue to support it, figure out what your ROI is going to be, run some tests, and then just keep it going from there. Again, like I said, my suggestion would be Google AdWords, but recognize every business is different. In some niches, for example, if you're in like the cookie or cake baking industry, maybe Pinterest ads are like a gold mine for you. You know what I mean? Or maybe there's this like niche with these bloggers that they're going to charge way less than Google, right? They're afraid to charge Google prices. You can negotiate them down. There's different ways you can slice and dice it, right? But basically, paid ads online are probably going to be like the most consistent way for you to like scale up revenue.
Dude, that's amazing. God, I love the way you approach the marketplace, especially with the blogger comment, because most people don't value themselves as experts and they don't have the credentials. Like you said, they are guilty. They have not been proven innocent in their cooperation with brands and corporate sponsors and endorsed posts. And they don't even have things like media kits. So maybe, and this is something I talk about a lot, I actually have a blog post coming out about media kits. So let's say you are hired as a consultant with a company who sells yoga pants for moms. And, you know, they say, you know what, we heard about this influencer blogger marketing tactic. We read it in a blurb in Entrepreneur Magazine. Here's 20 grand, you know, find us some bloggers and let's see if they can throw us some traffic and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, can you maybe speak on that a little bit? Like, what does that interaction with the company and the blogger look like?
Right. So, yeah, if you're looking for influencers, there's a couple tools. I think Banana Tag is a tool that I know some people are using. I hope I am remembering that correctly. But yeah, so if someone just goes to you and they're just like, hey, here's 20K, find some influencers, and you're like, oh shit, what do I do? Yeah, go to the trenches. Go on Instagram. Like, look up the yoga pants, mom yoga pants, whatever hashtags. Like, and then eventually you'll start coming across them. Right? They're popular, so they're pretty easy to find. And then you'll start seeing like, okay, they're getting like, they have 50,000 followers and they're getting 20,000 likes. Crazy engagement, right? We should stick with it. We need to pitch these people. So basically, you gotta DM them or something. Be like, hey, I'm interested in paying you for advertisement. And so again, like I said a second ago, the great thing about individuals is you can negotiate them down. So whatever price they say, always go below it. Always. Probably accept it somewhere lower than you did before. I did this with offers, and I was able to get $10,000 more. They were going to charge me $30,000, but for $20,000, I got what I would have paid for $30. But so do that. Just find them in the trenches, then contact them. Sometimes I won't even let you. Like, people pitch me, or like my email and DM and stuff. They're like, hey, I got this what's one I heard recently? It's like a voice over IP phone service for businesses, and they're like, hey, we got this VoIP service. We want you to like be an affiliate. And I was like, dude, I've never used this before. This is I would never use this. So I flat out just turn them down. Like, I don't even care. So you might get that sometimes, but most of the time, I mean, you're the one with the cash, right? So you hold the power pretty much. Yeah, but that could definitely be profitable. It might take a little work, but like, people, especially if you become like an influencer in the industry and you're friends with affiliates, and then all you got to do is be like, yo guys, I just wrote a book. Can you guys shoot it out to your email list for like 40% commissions? That's like a bonkers way to like sell books and like information products. But you gotta like know the people usually before they let you on their list. But yeah, dude, it's a good tactic.
That's awesome. So let's say you're negotiating with somebody who is an influencer, and they say, my fee is 50 grand. And you're like, well, and here's a media kit. Here's the brands that I work with. Here's the percentage of sales that I sent their way. Here is my audience. Here's their numbers. Here's their metrics. And now you broke it down, and you were more professional about it. And you were like, and I see your fee and I'll negotiate with you, but I'm going to go maybe to 40,000 from your 30,000. And now they're negotiating with you. Would you as a business owner have to respect that and be like, okay, that's good information, that's good data, and if it aligns with your company's value, would you then treat that person different than you would for somebody who's like, oh, okay, I'll take the 30,000? Is that something that's doable and negotiable in business?
Oh, obviously, like completely. If someone came back and they're like, look, here's like the usual ROI on my past people spends. Here's the graphs. Here's my press kit. Here's like all the press I've had, like all that stuff. I'd be like, whoa, okay, we're dealing with some legit people here. Yeah, totally. I would like way respect them so much more. But again, like, you're the business. You're self-interested. You got to get the best price. So basically, what you have to do is, luckily, there's a lot of influencers out there, right? So usually, if there's someone good, you can find someone just as good or better. So at the end of the day, you got to be like, look, here's what we can spend. Like, that's it. Like I respect your your ROI from past stuff and like your fees or whatever, but like, it doesn't cost you anything to do this. So you're making money either way. And like, this is the best I can do. So take it or leave it. Like, I'm going to give it to you, or I'm going to go to someone else. Like, at the end of the day, as a business, that's what you have to do. But yeah, like, if someone got some like dope media kit, like, you got to respect their game, but you gotta look out for yourself as well.
That's amazing. Oh, definitely. You have to approach the business as this. That's like he just said. I'm allocating my resources in a certain way. You know, I'd love to partner with you. This could be an opportunity for us. If not, hey, you know, see you out there doing great things, but, you know, we're going to move on to somebody else. Now, you know, unless you're somebody like a major influencer like Gary Vaynerchuk or, you know, Grant Cardone, then that'd be a little bit different because you've made yourself a commodity and your goal is to kind of maybe go from there where somebody could offer 50 grand and be like, hey, sorry, Jack, you know, my fee is 100 grand. And that could be a conversation because they can truly show some value for the right company if they had their metrics that were like astronomical. And yes, but yeah, that's the average influencer, you know, who is a micro influencer, which is great, which is what a lot of companies are looking for. Less than 10,000 true organic followers. You know, that's definitely the game that most people will be playing, and most subject matter expertise, you know, professionals out there. So great breakdown of it. Andrew, I'm sorry, John. I was looking at Andrew here in the comments. Where can people get a hold of you? Where can people connect with you? Do you have an inner circle? Where do you hang out online?
Yes. So any imaginable social media, you can find me at JFryOfficial, at JFRYE Official. I've just started, I've been playing around with podcasts for the past 8 months. I launched one, took it down, recorded one, deleted it. Here's the final verdict. And I think I'm releasing this to your audience first, so hoorah. I'm going to be launching a podcast called The Growth Podcast, where I'm interviewing people similar to this, with people who have done like insane things in the growth marketing world, have grown companies, you know, to like millions of dollars in revenue with like no resources, like just crazy mind-blowing stuff. I'm going to be doing that. The website is growthpodcast.co. And if I actually go there right now, the website's not finished. I literally put it up last night. But if you go there right now, growthpodcast.co, I'm giving away the Ask Gary Vee book for our launch, a little celebration, a little giveaway. So you just throw in your email there, and I'm going to pick one of you guys to get the Ask Gary Vee book, which a lot of people want. It's a hot book. Got a lot of knowledge in there. So yeah, that's where you can find me, and that's what I'm at. That's what I'm doing.
That is amazing, and what a just generous giveaway. Somebody like a Gary Vaynerchuk gives so much value to the marketplace and really creates a lot of influence in major corporations and brands. And 2 years ago, big companies didn't value stuff like social media and social media marketing until somebody like a Gary Vaynerchuk, Chalene Johnson, Grant Cardone would really just open up their eyes and make some executive somewhere who got a recommendation from a friend to listen to this podcast or this interview or this YouTube video, and it just opened up their mind, which gave influence within their organizations and in their industries. So we're still very early in this whole online business still. I know it's about maybe 20 years old now, but now it's becoming accepted by boardrooms. It's not something that's a kind of, oh, that little marketing fad. It's here to stay, and we're, like John always says, it's the tip of the iceberg. So John, thank you so much for helping me serve my talent tribe, man. I really appreciate it. This is a really fire interview, bro.
Super welcome. Glad to be here.